Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing some Cosmoline removal off of a Mosin Nagant. This is actually the 9130 with the laminated stock. Got this off of J&G sales. Actually came in the other day. Pretty good condition and everything, but it is, like all the others, coated in Cosmoline. It is a, kind of hard to see, but it is a 1938, has a round receiver, so but I figured I had all the solid stocks and have done a couple of those. I figured I'd give the laminated stock a try and add it to my collection. So all the parts here, the bayonet, everything as well, all coated in this Cosmoline. So gonna take a while, but basically all I'm gonna be using today is some degreaser or cleaner to soak all the metal parts in. And then to clean it off of the stock, I'm going to be using this heat gun and just wiping it off with the paper towels. Usually you could set it outside during the summer and let it sweat out just in the heat, but since it's 10 degrees and snowing outside, that's not going to happen. So went and got a cheap little heat gun and going to try that out, see how it works. So yeah, get started on this and start disassembling the gun here and get on to it. Alright, so disassembling this gun is actually relatively easy. Basically start with the bolt here. Just want to pull it back, and then all the way back, and then pull the trigger, and it slides right out. So yeah, and you can see that thing is just coated in nastiness, so that'll need some time to soak. And then bottom of this magazine here, you'll see there is a screw here. Just take a flathead screwdriver and you're going to want to unscrew that. And make sure you keep track of that. And also, you'll want to lift up this magazine cover here. I can get it. Just stick a screwdriver in there, and it comes right out. And then all you have to do is press these springs together, and it comes right out. And then on the other side of the gun, there is another screw. Kind of hard to see because it's, again, coated in Cosmoline really bad, but underneath all that thick layers of Cosmoline is another screw that you just undo here. A little bit easier by hand. Sorry, this stuff is really slick, but comes out. And just for reassembly purposes, the one that goes in the top here is longer than the one that goes out in the bottom. So keep that in mind for when you got to reassemble the gun. And then the magazine pulls right out. All right, next is going to be removing these straps here. You'll see there's one here and one at the top here. These are pretty simple. All you have to do is press that clip down and then work them out. Same thing with this one. You're just going to have to press that down and then work it out. Alright, once you got those moved forward here, you can just unscrew this cleaning rod. Basically just unscrews like screw here. Again, sorry, it's really slick. That comes right off. And then you should be able to get that hand guard off of there. And then the barrel comes right out. Alright, so you don't have to, but I like doing it too just to make sure I get it all off, is remove this buttstock here. 2 screws. You just unscrew them as well with your screwdriver. Take that off, so pretty easy, nothing too difficult. Alright. And then should pop right off. So another metal part you want to soak. So what you're left with is a fully wood stock. I'll just sit right here for right now. And then one other further thing you want to do is to disassemble the bolt fully, so that way you could get all the Cosmoline off each part. So basically what you want to do on this is hold it with, just like it was in the gun. You're actually going to pull this back and rotate it 90 degrees to your 9 o'clock position, and then this part here is going to come off. You just kind of take those apart like that. Now to get your firing pin out, what you do is you're going to want to push this down with some force, and then you're going to literally just unscrew this. So make sure you're not, I got a pad underneath this cloth here, but make sure you're not going to ruin your table or whatever. So, but you just push down on the bolt handle with some force, and then literally just unscrew the top here. That's a little difficult because it's soaked in Cosmoline. It makes it a little slick, but and then your firing pin and your spring comes right out. So that's a fully disassembled bolt. Then all I'm basically going to do now is, in this bucket over here, kind of see that, I'm going to take all the metal, smaller metal pieces at least, and dump them in there. I got about a quarter of it full with water, and then filled about half a gallon of that cleaner in there. So I'm going to let these sit for quite a while just to let this stuff soak off. I'm even going to throw the screws in there and cleaning kit and everything. And then I'm actually going to throw the bayonet in there, and then I will throw the receiver end of the barrel in there, and then you'll have to flip it around. You can also throw it in a bathtub as well, but I want to throw it in here first, get a lot of the Cosmoline off, and then I might throw it in the bathtub just to make sure it gets out of the barrel and everything. So I'm going to let those soak for a little while and then move on to the stock. Now for the fun part, and probably the part that's going to take the longest, is getting it out of the stock. Probably not going to get it all out till you get it put together and fired, and then it might leak out some more, but just wipe it off. So depending on how much you have on there, I'm actually able to, just without heating anything up, run cloths or actually using paper towels across it, and you can see all the Cosmoline coming off. So I'm actually just going to run some dry paper towels on it to get all the stuff I'm able to get off, and then I'll start heating it up and then sweating it out of the stock as well. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is basically just take this heat gun here and just kind of heat up the stock at portions at a time. and just eventually, you don't want it too close because you don't want to burn the stock or anything, but just let that kind of heat it up and sweat out any of that Cosmoline that's still in there. This is obviously going to take a while, so I'm not going to record the whole thing, but essentially you just want to start at one end of the stock and work your way down, just applying heat to it, letting some of that Cosmoline sweat out, and then just wipe it off with a towel. I'm not gonna lie, it does take a while, but the longer you do it, the more that'll sweat out. So what I'll do is probably do, you know, as much as I can tonight, and then kind of keep going at it tomorrow until get most of it off. So yeah, just basically take your heat gun and heat up the stock and wipe off the Cosmoline as it sweats out. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this for a while and then see where we're at in a little bit. Alright, so what I've done now is I've actually taken the barrel, the cleaning rod, and the bayonet, and I've actually put them in my bathtub here and filled it with hot water. That 5-gallon bucket really wasn't working. It wasn't getting the entire barrel or anything like that. So you'll see I just have it in the tub here, filled it with hot water enough to cover them. So what I'm going to do is let this soak for quite a while. It'll kind of soak off some of the Cosmoline, and then you'll be able to go wipe it all off a lot easier once it's been sitting for a while here. So we'll let this go for a while and come back and get to cleaning these parts. I just want to kind of show how this Cosmoline was coming off, and you can kind of see it just coming off of here out of that, just the hot water. So especially right there. So slowly but surely it's coming off. I'm going to let this sit for a little bit longer, and then we'll get to cleaning this stuff. Alright, so these smaller parts have been sitting in this cleaner and degreaser for a couple hours now, so I think now it's time to take them out and start wiping them down. Alright, so I'm just going to start grabbing parts out of the bucket here and just wipe them down as they come out and see how they're looking. So I got the firing pin here. So I'm just using some paper towels. I think it works best. They're cheap, so go through a bunch of them. Not gonna be too expensive. But so yeah, it looks like taking a lot of the Cosmoline off. Kind of hard to look, but a lot of that Cosmoline is coming off, which is definitely good. So just want to get these nice and dry. If for some reason you got some parts that still have some Cosmoline and it's kind of hard to get off, stick them back in there for a little bit longer, or try put them in some hot water. That seems to work as well. Alright, you'll see here I finally got all the parts taken out of the water and the cleaner and got them all wiped down. Actually, yeah, see they're all dry now, and most of the Cosmoline is off everything. I took the barrel, ran a cleaning rod through there with some patches, made sure that was all dried out and everything. There are still, especially in the receiver, some of the tighter areas where there's still Cosmoline in there. So what I'm going to do now is just take a heat gun, and I got some paper there sitting under, and just heat it up and let the rest of that Cosmoline kind of drip off. You'll see under some of the smaller moving parts there's Cosmoline still on there, so just gonna let this soak on here. Yeah, you can see that Cosmoline really starting to sweat out still, so still some on here, so I'm just gonna do this for a while, wipe it down again, and Might do this with some of the smaller parts, but just to make sure I get all this Cosmoline off the hood. Alright, so I got all the Cosmoline that I can out of these metal pieces here, using that heat gun method, and whatever Cosmoline was left in there melted out, and I was able to wipe it down. So got everything removed, and then what I did was just while I'm working on the stock now, I took some lubricating oil and just put a light coat around all these metal parts just to kind of keep them from rusting. You kind of want to do that as well. Not a thick coat or anything, but just a thin coat, just to keep them from rusting, like I said. So I'm going to let those sit for a while, and now I'm going to move back to the stock. What I did with this was, sat there with the heat gun and let it melt off. It takes a long time, so I didn't record the whole process just for time's sake, but that's what I did. And now I'm to the point to where I'm going to actually strip this old finish off, just because it's not done very well and there's a lot of scratches and dings in it. So I want to get that cleaned up looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is use this citrus stripping gel. I'm going to put that on here with a brush, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and then wipe it off. I did a little test area. You can see right here. Just put a little bit right here, let it sit on there for 30 minutes, and wiped it off with a paper towel, and it took that finish off just fine. So I just want to make sure it would work. So I'm going to do it to the whole gun. Alright, going to start with the hand guard here. So what you want to do is just shake this stuff up here real good, and then pour it into a little cup or something to make it a little bit easier to use with a paintbrush. Okay. So take a brush and pretty much just paint it on here. There's really not a set amount. I mean, you don't need to glob it on there, but you want to get enough on there to where it's going to work. This may take 1 or 2 coats, just depends. Like I said, I'll wipe it down after 30 minutes, and if the finish is still on there, put another coat and wait another 30 minutes. So pretty easy. And the good thing about this is it doesn't really smell. It really just smells like oranges, so you're able to do it indoors. You don't get any toxic smells or anything with this. Okay. Just let that sit for a little bit and move on to the stock. Right, and you'll see I just went ahead and just hung my stock up from the ceiling from a couple hooks. Makes it a little bit easier to work with, and then especially since you got to get a little bit on this side where the stain is. So as you'll see, I just brushed it on there. You don't have to worry about getting it on the metal parts. It won't hurt that. Just take the brush and you brush it. You don't need to get inside here or down in here. There's no finish in there anyway, so I learned that the hard way. I did that on a prior Mosin, and it's just a pain in the butt to get it out of there. So especially when it hardens, so there's really no need to do it. So I didn't get it down in there this time. So you can already see the finish is starting to come off. I mean, look at my hands, starting to come off of there. So it's working. So I'm going to give it about 30 minutes, and then take it down and wipe it off, and then see if we need to put on a second coat or not. Alright, so I got the stock. I'm just going to start wiping this down. Might need to use some pressure to really get it off. Yeah, see, that's really coming off there. Alright, just to kind of show you up close, this is really what it's looking like. So you can see the old finish there, and I mean, I think it looks awesome. Just the natural color of the stock. So kind of moving down the line. This is going to take another coat of that citrus strip, but coming along pretty good. The stuff works awesome. So definitely recommend it. It's kind of the easiest process to do. So I'm going to continue wiping this down a little bit, put another coat on it, and then I'll let you guys know where we're at. Alright, so got it completely wiped down and got all the old finish off here, and you can see it's actually looking pretty nice. There's still some red stain in there from that type of finish that they use, but not a big deal. I actually like the way it looks just like it is. So I think what I'm going to do is lightly sand it down and just do a bunch of clear coats on it. That way you get that really laminate stock look. So yeah, that stuff came off real nice with 2 coats of that citrus strip. Got all the finish off of it. So you can still see some of the stampings and everything. So that's why I'm just going to do a very light coat, because I still want to keep those on this gun. But other than that, I mean, it came out good. So let this dry overnight, and then get working on just lightly sanding this and putting on the finish coat. Alright, so I actually went out and bought this True Oil kit. It comes with, you know, the True Oil finish, some stain, and some conditioner, but it also comes with steel wool and then several different types of grits of sandpaper. So what I did was the stock here didn't need a whole lot of sanding down. So what I did is it comes with a 400 and a 280. What I did was I started with the 200 and then the 280, and then just sanded down lightly the entire stock. And then I took the steel wool it comes with. I believe that's the 0000 kind. So the finest you can get. And I just went along here and got it nice and smooth, and then I wiped it down with a terry cloth. And so nice and smooth. I still was able to keep some of the markings that were in here, so I don't want to get rid of those. So that's why I just went with the finer sandpaper. But this is where I'm at. Get it all sanded down. So what I'm going to do now is start with the True Oil finishing. Alright, so I got some mineral spirits here that I'm actually putting on a rag, and then I'm just going to wipe it on the stock to kind of get that stripping agent neutralized that we put on here. So just kind of, you don't need a whole lot, but just lightly put it on here, rub it down the entire stock, and then I'm actually going to just let that dry overnight before applying any finish to it. Alright guys, so I actually forgot to turn my camera on when I was refinishing this stock, but I'll go over kind of what I did. It was pretty simple. After I put the mineral spirits on there to kind of neutralize that stripping agent, and that dried overnight, what I started with is I didn't do any stain. This is just the natural look of the wood without all that original finish that was on there. So I did not add any stain. The only thing I added to it was the True Oil gun stock finish. This stuff's pretty easy. It does take several coats. I think I had about 8 coats before I stopped. So what I did was I took a little cloth here, and this is what I used to spread it around with. But I dumped a little bit into a little measuring cup, and then you apply it in small amounts of coats. So I just, you know, got the rag a little wet, and then I just went kind of long strides, put a thin layer all over the stock. So you don't want to put it on thick. You want just several layers of very thin coats. So after I put on a thin layer each time, I would let it dry. The first time I let it dry overnight, so about 24 hours. And then after it was dried, I went back with number 4 steel wool and just did a light kind of buffing for the next coat. And then I would put another light coat on, let it dry, and then run the steel wool across it again, just very lightly. Like I said, I did that about 8 times. So there's about 8 thin layers of this True Oil. Honestly, you can put as many layers on there as you want to. The more layers you get, the glossier the look and more protection, I guess. But I really don't plan on shooting this one as much, just because I did it more for the looks. So you can put as many coats of that True Oil as you want to, and then you can also put on the conditioner, and then you could also buff it if you don't want it as glossy. But I kind of like the glossy look, so I kept it just like this. So once that was all done, got it all wiped down and put back together. Reassembly is easy. You just basically reverse the process that we did, taking it all apart. So everything went back together just fine. Get a close up here just to kind of show you what it looks like. And this is kind of an up close look here, and you can see how glossy it is, but I kind of like that look, especially since I went with no stain and just went with the natural laminated wood stock. So you can see the wood here. In my opinion, I mean, it came out great. I'm glad I didn't put any stain on here, because this looks great just like this. So get it flipped over. Pretty much the same look on this side here. So once you get all that Cosmoline off of there, which is the hardest and probably longest part, redoing the stock and everything doesn't take too long. You can, if you want to, do stain and then add the True Oil, any stain you want to. But like I said, I just went with this look because I like the way the laminated stock looks. So yeah. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. I know there's several different ways to remove that Cosmoline and also refinish these stocks. I've tried a couple of different methods and went ahead and did it this way on this gun. So I'll probably do another video on another one that I do. But if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to let me know down there in the comment section. Thanks for watching.